morning. I'm not sure why. I don't think I'll need this much. But hello, everybody. Welcome. We will get started in just a moment once I make sure that everything is working properly. I think everything is. It looks like it is working. We are live. We are going to be able to do an English lesson about junk and garbage in just a moment. Let me check a couple more things. I think we're good. Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about junk and garbage. I felt kind of bad making this lesson because it somewhat reflects on how wasteful we are as a civilization. As I was finding pictures, I realized that we make a lot of stuff and then we throw a lot of stuff away. That's the verb we use quite often when talking about junk and garbage. So in this lesson, I'll look at all of the things that we don't need anymore and the words and phrases we use in English to talk about them. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about junk and garbage. So sometimes some of you are curious as to why I make certain lessons. What is the thing in my week that prompted me to think about this lesson? Why did I think about junk and garbage? Number one, I've been walking a bit more along the road and the side of the road and the ditch is full of litter. So that reminded me of it. And then I put my old blue van, which some of you think looks gray, depends on how your eyes work, I guess, back on the road. And it's a bit old. It's not junk yet, but it's getting there. So I hope you enjoy this lesson. I do want to say hi to Burgett, Mode Eggs. Mode says, yeah, this is not the most appealing topic, but hey, you got to learn to talk about all kinds of things. Very, very true. Hello to Freddie. Hello to Uliana, Gleiss, Tobias. Torihiki, let me scroll back. American English Brent is here as well as his class, I think. So hi to Brent's class. Good to see you, Brent. Freddie Wolf, Unsel, scrolling back. I know Aerosmith was here earlier as well. Not sure if Pedro is here. Hello to Pedro. Hello to Wanda. And I'll scroll back down to the bottom of the chat. Hello to Unabi, Famanfa, Ishimwi Sadrine. And yep, good to see all of you. Are you guys ready to get started? Let's do that. Before we do, if you have a question, please use the link in the description below to ask that question. Or I think it's pinned over in the chat, although I'm not sure it pins the same way. I think it might pin it to the bottom now. Use that link to ask your question, and I will answer it at certain points during the lesson. Hello to Ishor, Zhang, Burgett again. Oh, Aerosmith is here. Good to see you. Lionheart, Sophia, Ferdinanda, Paula. By the way, if you're watching this at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, it is live. I'm right here. I'm an actual person sitting in my living room, or I guess it's my office/living room, doing a live lesson. So welcome. We should get the lesson. I do want to say this though before I start, so all of you know, I will not be doing a live stream tomorrow morning. I'm taking the weekend off. As some of you know, I'm still starting. I'm 87% better there. How's that sound from how I was feeling? Hello to Hafiez. Good to see you as well. See, Nightbot is doing its job. Let's get started. Here we go. Junk. Things that are old, broken, or no longer useful. So when you have something, it does something for you. A brand new couch is really nice to sit on, but eventually it might get a number of tears in it or the legs might break. And then we would just say it's junk. Maybe you're going to buy a used couch from a friend and you go to look at it and you're like, that's just junk. I'm not giving you money for this. That is junk. We use the word junk quite a bit to talk in general about things that are no longer useful. Hey, what did you do with your old computer? Oh, it was junk. I just recycled it. Hey, can I buy your old car when you're done using it? And then I might reply and say, it's junk. It just needs to go to the auto wreckers. So junk, things that are old, broken, or no longer useful. And you can see there's quite a bit of junk here. An old couch, an old table. Looks like some foam from an old mattress. I would see that and just think that's a pile of junk. Trash, garbage, garbage truck. Let me go back to trash, garbage. I thought a different slide was next. I was mistaken. Trash and garbage are the words we use to talk about waste material that is thrown away. Now, it can depend on where you live and what part of the English-speaking country you're in. We generally use the word garbage, whereas someone in the state of Michigan in the United States might use the word trash. They are mostly interchangeable, but there is a regional difference. So we have garbage. Brent might have trash. I haven't asked Brent from American English with Brent. I'm pretty sure he might use the word trash, but waste material that is thrown away. And then I would call those garbage bags. Someone else might call those trash bags. We have what's called a garbage truck, a large vehicle used to collect and transport waste from homes or businesses. For us, the garbage truck comes on Thursday. That's our garbage day. But this is a large truck, which is usually driven by one person. And there's usually another person on the back that gets on and off the truck to throw all of the garbage into the truck. So garbage truck, a large vehicle used to collect and transport waste from homes or businesses. And I kind of mentioned it already, garbage day, the scheduled day when garbage is collected from homes or buildings by a garbage truck. So in my part of the world, garbage day is once a week. For us, garbage day is on Thursday. On Wednesday night, we get all of our garbage ready so that we can put it out by the road in the morning on Thursday, and then the garbage truck will come to get it. So garbage day, the scheduled day when garbage is collected from homes or buildings by a garbage truck. And sometimes the day changes. If there's a holiday, our garbage day might be on Friday instead of Thursday. But yes, garbage day, the day you put your garbage by the road. Rubbish. So I did need to mention this, waste or unwanted material, commonly used in British English. I know what rubbish is. I don't use the word rubbish very often. I don't use the word rubbish bin. I use the word garbage can to talk about the thing you put garbage in. But apparently, if you go across the Atlantic Ocean from Canada to the UK, they generally say rubbish, and then they put it in the rubbish bin, or I think they just say bin. So rubbish. I do use this word in a different way though. If someone tells me something that I don't think is true, I might say, that's rubbish, meaning that I don't believe what they are saying. But rubbish, waste or unwanted material, commonly used in British English. Waste, a general term for unwanted things that are not needed. So when you talk about waste, you might be talking about garbage. When Jen cuts flowers, she snips off the end and the bottom part is waste. We compost it, of course. So anything that isn't wanted can be considered waste. And you can even waste time if you want to use it as a verb. But yes, a general term for unwanted things that are not needed. Electronic waste or e-waste. We generally just say e-waste now. Old electronics that no longer work or are obsolete. So in Canada, when you buy something that has, wire or cable or computer chips in it, anything that is electronic, you actually pay an extra tax when you buy it. And that money is used to properly recycle it at the end of its useful life. So when I buy a computer, I actually spend an extra little bit of money, like I'm required to, so that when I am done using the computer, I can bring it to the e-waste place and they can recycle it properly. But electronic waste, things like, if you look here, I think there's an old radio, a cordless phone, an old mobile phone, cell phone. I think there's a car stereo at the far end and some printed circuit boards. So there's a lot of e-waste in this pile. And it will hopefully all get recycled and they can reuse some of the things that are in it. Litter. So I use this word primarily to talk about small pieces of trash left in public places. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the lesson, when I go for a walk, there's lots of litter on the side of the road. People drink their coffee and they throw the cup out of the window, and it really, really annoys me. When you go to the park in Canada, there are garbage cans everywhere, but people still litter. People just throw things on the ground. Last year, Jen and I went to a baseball game, and when we were done watching the baseball game, there was litter everywhere around the seats. So, a specific form of garbage, litter, small pieces of trash left in public places. And then let's look at the difference between scraps and scrap. So the same word, but used in a different way. When I talk about scraps, I mean small leftover pieces of food or material. If I was to build something out of wood, I would cut the wood and I would use the pieces I need, but the rest would be scraps. There would just be a pile of scraps on the ground when I'm done. When you prepare food, there's usually scraps, orange peels, potato peels, maybe the ends of the tomato. And then you might do what we do. We feed our scraps to the chickens. But scraps, small leftover pieces of food or material. And then scrap. We often use scrap, the word scrap, to talk about discarded material for reprocessing or recycling. So this we would call scrap metal. It's quite common in Canada. We do not throw away metal, but to take scrap metal to a metal recycling facility because they will give you money for it. So every few years on the farm, we will put all of our scrap metal into a bin, and we will bring it to the scrap metal recycler, and they will give us money for it. So it's very, very nice. So scrap is discarded material for reprocessing or for recycling. Hey, let's look at some questions. The chat was alive. I was going to scroll back and read some of it. Brent's chatting away. Garbage trucks here collect at the like wee hours for the morning, like around 1 a.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's early. Yeah, wee hours of the morning. Rubbish, garbage, trash, says Freddie. So many words to say the same thing. Yes, it does get a little bit overwhelming. Okay, let me get a question on the screen. I want to keep pace here. From Judith, I'm going to have a sip of water. Hi, Bob. When were you the most effective in recycling any junk items? Thank you. So this is a funny story, actually. I became much better at recycling when I met Jen. When I was much younger, I didn't actually care that much about recycling. You have to remember this was like the early 90s. So recycling was just becoming a thing. But Jen cares very deeply about the earth and about the planet. And so when I met Jen, I thought I better start recycling and I better start behaving myself because this will impress this girl. So one of the things I started to do, and I do believe in it as well. I don't continue to recycle and compost because of my love for Jen, but it was certainly something where it was very important to her. So it became very important to me. So great question, Judith. Let's see here. From Judith again. Hi, Bob. Is there any situation when you would call an updated electronic item junk? Thank you. Yes, great question. I forgot to mention this, but you can call new things junk as well. So if you buy a phone, a brand new phone, and it doesn't work very well, and maybe it's made very, very cheaply, you might simply call it junk. Like I bought a new phone and it's junk. Like it doesn't do any of the things that it's supposed to do. The battery goes dead within an hour. It's junk. So you can refer to something new as junk if it doesn't work properly or if it doesn't do the things they say it's supposed to do. Like, this new phone is junk. Mikala, who does deal with trash bin in your home? Is it you, your wife, or your children? So we all properly put things in the correct place. So paper goes in the paper recycling, plastic goes in the plastic recycling bin, metal goes in the metal recycling bin. But it is actually Jen who on Thursday mornings brings all of the garbage and recycling to the road. I think this was just because of practicality. Myself and my children are going to work or going to school. Jen is home and works from home. So it just works out easier. So yes, that's who does it. We all do our part. to make sure that she gets everything in the right spot. But hey, let me just check something. Yeah, I'm getting a few choppy errors, but it's still working. So hopefully you guys are all seeing what I'm seeing. Sometimes that happens. Just a few drop frames here and there. Hopefully it doesn't get any worse. We'll have to see. Who knows? From Vanessa. Hi, Bob. What time did you reschedule tomorrow's live stream for? There will be no live stream tomorrow. Last week I said I would do a live stream, but I am planning to take the weekend off. I am still recuperating and recovering from my event 2.5 weeks ago, and I feel like it's best for me not to push it too hard. Many of you as viewers have told me in the past, when you are not feeling well or when something happens where you need to recover, don't push yourself too hard because you'll just end up getting more sick. So no live lesson tomorrow, Vanessa. Sorry about that. I did say I would do one, but I am not going to. From Joshua. Hi, Bob. What are the differences between Canadian pronunciation and American pronunciation? So first of all, most of Canada sounds the same way, except in some provinces, the whole province or parts of it speak French. But the US actually itself has several different accents. Someone from California will sound different than someone from New England. Someone from the Deep South will sound different than someone from Michigan. So I would say this, the Canadian accent or the pronunciation of a Canadian is very similar to some of the northern US states. There are a few words that we say slightly differently, a few vowel sounds, but very, very similar. From Zhao. Thank you for helping me with my classes. My students love you. Hello from Brazil. Well, hello, and thanks for leaving that comment. Maybe your class is watching right now. I just want to say hello to all of them. And I do know a class, I don't have them here. A class sent me a whole set of postcards. I should send them a thank you at some point in time. So from Unabi, hi. In some places, proper utilization of an old car could be more expensive than just leaving it on the side of the road. I'm fixing a few things, Unabi. What's the situation in Canada regarding this? Thanks. So in Canada, a used old car that is junk is actually worth money. So if you bring it to the auto wreckers or the junkyard, you will probably get $300 to $500 for it or more, depending on the price of scrap metal. So most people do not leave cars on the side of the road or rusting away in their driveway. They usually bring them to the scrap metal place and they get good money for it. That's if it doesn't work, right? From Mikhailo. Hi there, no questions yet. Just watching and try to get this topic because it is something new for me. Thanks and take care. Yes, I do tend to do a variety of topics. I will admit, talking about junk and garbage isn't super exciting, but I do want to do, what have I said in the past? I don't want to just do the interesting lessons. I want to do all of the lessons. So here we go. John Wedge says, I'm here, folks. I'm not saying nothing because I'm using my phone. There you go. Tang says, does Bob make a live lesson every Friday? Yes, about 45 times a year. So most weeks on Friday at 8:30 a.m. I do a live lesson. So that is correct. Okay, let's see. I think we're done with questions. I will have a sip of water and we will get back to the lesson. Here we go. More about junk. Everything you ever wanted to learn about junk. Junkyard. A place where old or broken items or vehicles are stored. So in Canada, and I'm not sure what it's like in other parts of the English-speaking world, when you say junkyard, we are generally referring to a place with lots of old cars that you can go and buy parts from, or that they might eventually recycle. So when I say junkyard, it's almost always about vehicles. Like, where did you get those used tires? Oh, I bought them. I went to the junkyard. They had the same car there and I bought really, really cheap tires. It can mean a place that has other things. They might have other like old fridges or stoves or things like that. But for me, if someone says junkyard, this is what I picture: a place with lots of old vehicles. Junk food. So a little off topic, but we use the word junk for a lot of different things, and I'm going to go through some of them. Junk food is food that is unhealthy and has little nutritional value, but it's usually very yummy. So here you have some, looks like some little chocolates and some chips and some tortilla chips. And at the far end, you have some cookies and chocolate and hot dogs. Sometimes fast food is also considered junk food. So a variety of foods that are not healthy and have very little nutritional value, but are quite tasty. I think there's some soda, or what I call pop, there as well in the glass in the middle. Junk mail. Unwanted advertisements sent by mail or post. So we still get mail every day, but most of it is junk mail. It's usually what we call flyers, advertising things that are on sale at different stores. We rarely ever get a letter. Like, there's actually a letter on this pile of junk mail. And so in Canada, our postal system is not profitable and is going bankrupt, basically. But they won't stop delivering mail every day. I think they should just deliver mail once a week. And then they should get rid of a lot of the junk mail or charge more money to deliver it. So you can see here, I'm not sure what is $79 per month. I don't think that's for a vehicle. That would be very, very cheap. But you have a wide variety of what we would call junk mail. When you talk about email, though, it says by email, most of the time I use the word spam. Like, I get a lot of spam or junk email, but spam is probably the more common term. Junk drawer. I think everyone has one of these in their house. And I think I did teach this in another lesson once. A drawer used to store random items. This looks a lot like my junk drawer. My junk drawer has like old screwdrivers and little bolts and old key fobs from cars we don't have anymore, and a variety of things. Let's see if we can get this bigger. It might go off the top of the screen. Yeah, old screwdriver, a bottle opener is in there. This reminds me of the book I Spy that we used to have with our kids, where they would list a bunch of words and then show a picture like this, and you had to find everything in it. But a junk drawer, a drawer used to store random items. I think we actually have two junk drawers, if I think about it. Junk room. We don't have a junk room. This is, you got to have a pretty big house to have a junk room. So a room used to store unwanted or unused items. So yes, we do not have a junk room. I think when we first got married, we sort of had a room like this, but we didn't actually own enough stuff to have a room full of junk. But as you can see, this room, maybe this person doesn't use their sewing machine anymore. Maybe they just have lots of books that they don't read and old clothes. They keep it in their junk room. Junk pile, a pile of things that are no longer useful. So this is not as common now as when I was a kid. So when I was a kid, in the late 70s, early 80s, a lot of people on their farm would have a junk pile where they would just pile things they didn't need. We weren't able back then to recycle metal as easily. We weren't able to recycle plastic. And so many people just threw things on a junk pile. Maybe at the back of their yard, they would just have a pile of junk. So here you can see there's like some old barrels and a plastic lid from a pail. And I don't even know what all of this stuff is, but it's basically a pile of things that are no longer useful, and we would call that a junk pile. Space junk, or we sometimes say space debris, broken satellites or debris floating in space. And this, I think, is actually becoming a problem. The more and more we send into space, as humans, we are just wasteful people. And so eventually, wherever there are humans, there will be junk. And so the same is true for space. So broken satellites, satellites that have been up there and have stopped working. Maybe, I don't know if satellites get hit sometimes by space debris like meteors or comets, not comets, probably not comets. But certainly if you look online, I think they've mapped every single piece of space junk and you can see where each piece is. But yes, broken satellites or debris floating in space. Salvageable. It's a hard word to say. Let me say it again. It's hard for me to say. Salvageable. Salvageable. Something that can be saved or reused. If you were driving along and you saw this old car, you might think to yourself, oh, I wonder if the owner wants to sell it. I think it is salvageable. I think I could buy that car and I could do one of two things. I could rebuild it and drive it again, or I might be able to sell lots of the parts from the car. It's salvageable. So that's how I would describe a car like this, because it looks like the kind of car that someone would want to do that with. If my old van was sitting on our property with all weeds growing around it, people wouldn't think it was salvageable. But this is kind of a fun old sports car, an old muscle car that someone might think is salvageable. They might think it can be saved or reused. Should I say the word one more time? Salvageable. To junk or scrap a car. So, to get rid of a car because it is no longer useful, often by selling it to a junkyard. So this is what I talked about earlier. My blue van still runs great, but in a year I might decide to junk it. I might decide to scrap it. And that means I will take it to the junkyard, or what we sometimes call the auto wreckers. It's kind of a weird term, but the auto wreckers, I guess they wreck cars. They mush them and sell them to be recycled. I would bring it to the auto wreckers or junkyard, and they would give me money for it. The last time I scrapped a car, the last time I junked a car, I think I got $480 for my old van. I think that's the most I've gotten, Canadian dollars. So not a huge amount of money, but still very nice. So to junk or scrap a car, to get rid of a car because it is no longer useful, old or poor quality item, often a vehicle that is barely usable. So I do use this to talk about vehicles. Sometimes people just, like, a junker can still be drivable. Someone might drive an old junker in the winter and keep their really nice car in a garage, because in the winter in Canada, there's lots of salt on the road. And so it's important that you, if you have a very, very nice car, that you sometimes don't drive it, and then it doesn't get salt on it and it doesn't rust. So junker, an old or poor quality item, often a vehicle that is barely usable. Okay, so again, I'm having a little bit of rough internet today. That's okay. We'll do questions right now. But it did just say that I disconnected. Yeah, Freddie Wolf says, little freeze, Bob. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. But hey, it's question time anyways. Let me go into members only chat mode. Let me get that turned on, and we'll do questions for just a bit. Here we go. And under there, and sorry, my head's going all over the place. There we go. If you're wondering, what is members only chat mode? If you click the join button wherever that is on your screen and you decide to support me and the work I do here on YouTube, there are some rewards. Number one, you get a lesson plan on Monday that you can use to do some fun things during the week to improve your English. Number two, you get an extra video every week called Wednesdays with Bob. I say every week, it's about 45 times a year, where I randomly talk about a variety of things. You also get your name in green during a live chat, and you get to participate in the members only chat portion, which we are doing now. Let me see. I wanted to go back and read. Freddie says we should invent trash satellites in order to get rid of the space junk. Yes, that would be nice. Little Freeze says Freddie. And then Hafiez, I think, says the video was like having low frame rate rather than freezing. So far, it's tolerable. Yeah, I don't know what's up. My internet is running really well lately. I don't think it's a, yeah, it says right now it's running great. Maybe I'll just check one more time and then I'll do some questions. Okay. Good to know. Key Park in the chat says, your blue van is salvageable. Yes, at this point in time, it is still drivable. Everything works. Even the air conditioning works. So I'm very happy about that. By the way, if you're not a member, please stay. The English lesson will resume in about 8 minutes. So, and just enjoy the conversation. It's definitely drivable. I don't think I could fix it if it broke though. I think it's on its last legs. I think if something major broke, I would probably scrap it. So there's a few words that we've just learned today. And jumping over Hafiez's report there, Freddie says, I haven't seen the movie WALL-E so far. I need to catch up for sure. That's an interesting movie because there's a lot of trash and garbage in that movie. Brent says, it only lasted for a few seconds. It's fine now. Thanks, Brent, for letting me know. And Mode says, it's okay now. Audio and video are working. Awesome. Okay, let me get a question from the queue, and I'll bounce back and forth between the chat. Oh, Marco sent a gift membership, and Prime Minister Zuji got it, or Zug got it. And that reminds me, I said I would do that, and I will do that now. Let's see here. Members gifting. A membership will be given away in a moment once the right box pops up on the screen, and I agree. Oh, I clicked that fast. Maybe a little too fast. Excuse me. There we go. Whoa, there's gift memberships all over the place. So Freddie sent a gift membership and Yon Kenta received it. I sent a gift membership and Del Von Poitvin received it. Brent sent a gift membership and KDRD received it. Sorry for coughing on stream. I should have blanked my screen. Hey, if you just got a gift membership, you can go to the posts section of this YouTube channel and you will see all of the members only content. So thank you to everyone who gave a gift membership and welcome to all the people who received one. Okay, now there's a lot of stuff in the chat here. Bao also became a member. Bao Tran, good to see you. And Bao is saying hi. Hi, Bob. And John says, hey, Bob, no questions as always, just listening and learning. Hey, folks, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Yes. Okay, from here, Yet says, Yet B. What do you think about the phrase, one man's trash is another man's treasure? Assuming you agree with this, what would you probably say if you were to disagree? I do agree with it. Sometimes people will throw something out. And a good example would be this. I was driving home from a town close to us, and there were 2 chairs on the side of the road, and they were like really tall chairs, and they were in good shape. And I thought those would be nice for the work area in the barn. So when I am talking to Jen, I would have a nice chair to sit on. So that was treasure. It was one man's trash. That person put it at the side of the road because they didn't want it, and I picked it up. And I wouldn't disagree with that phrase at all. That I would 100% agree with that. Let's see. From Bao in the chat, Bao Tran, I just joined a membership. I really enjoy when I'm listening to your videos. Well, thank you for joining and supporting me, and I hope you enjoy listening to all of the videos and watching them. Hafia says to Freddie, it's a Pixar animated movie. It's a majestic one. Like watching a silent movie during the first half of the movie. Reminded me of an old movie, The Vibe, even though it's animated. Yes, and there's a lot of junk in that movie, for sure. Key says, junk is the treasure that is in the wrong place. Yes, it could be, for sure. I have a friend who's really good at fixing things. So sometimes he will find something that someone thinks is junk. He's really good with electronics and all that, and he will fix it. And so he definitely would agree with the phrase we were just talking about. And let's go here. Takagero says, hello, dear teacher Bob. What about outdoor lesson this year? Yes, the next live lesson in May, I think will be outside. I hope to do that one outside. That would be really, really nice. Daw says, hi, Bob. How important do you think grammar is for speaking? Thanks a million. So you need to know enough to form correct sentences, But more importantly, you need to know enough to understand what the other person is saying. So 100% grammar is important for speaking. Freddie Wolf says, are the trash men checking all the rubbish bins in order to be sure that all the people are respecting the rules? Yes. In Canada, you can, I think, get fined for putting things in the garbage that you shouldn't. So that's a great question. There's certain things that you can't, like you can't throw away a laptop in Canada. You must recycle it because it has things in it that we don't want in our landfills. Wanda says, hi, Teacher Bob. Has Canada implemented the program 5S? That is a day to clean and organize your company, a Japanese methodology. Thanks. I have not heard about that. But where I work could probably use that a bit because teachers by nature try to keep everything. And I think we should throw some things away sometimes. I think that would be a good idea. From Unsel. Hi, Mr. Bob. No questions today, just respect. You make even junk sound fun to learn. You're awesome. Have a great live stream. Bye. Well, you're welcome. I did enjoy making this lesson. And regardless of the topics I choose, I do enjoy teaching all of them. It is a lot of fun. Let's see here. From the chat, Hafiez says, speaking of movies, what's your rating for Project Hail Mary, Bob? Question. Was it amaze? Question. Yes. So I don't want to give away any spoilers, but there is a character in the movie that talks that way. That's why Hafiez is saying that. I went to see it last weekend. I had an opportunity to see it, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was very, very good. And Jen went and really enjoyed it as well. So that was nice. A lot of times Jen doesn't watch science fiction movies because there can be quite a lot of violence and they're not always her cup of tea. So Judith from Hungary says, hi, Bob, would you be able to make a useful tool out of junk? Thanks. Sometimes, like I'm pretty good at using old like scraps of wood to build something new. I can do that. Jen's dad is good at using like old pieces of metal to build new things out of metal. So yes, I think I could if it was from wood. Diep says, hello, Bob. How can I sign up for your membership? I'm not sure how to do it. Thank you so much. Well, Diep, you are already a member, so you've already done the sign up process, or you were gifted a membership. If you go on this channel to the section that says posts, you will now see all of the posts for members. So you will see the week at a glance lesson plan. You will see the Wednesdays with Bob video. That will all be linked. So you're good to go. That's what we would say in English. You're good to go. Let me see here. Hafiez says, hey there, you are a member now. Yes. Bow, I watch your video in the whole day when I have free time, short video. In the evening, I try listening carefully and understand the whole video. Is that the way to learn English? That is a great way to practice your listening skills. I would encourage you to make sure you're also practicing your reading, writing, and speaking. Listening is very, very helpful, but do make sure you're practicing the other things as well, which you're doing by asking a question. You're practicing your writing. Very good. Mode says, no questions, Mr. Bob. It looks like no one wants to talk about junk and garbage, but I want to say thank you for continuing to upload videos despite not feeling 100% yet. You are welcome. Hafiez, Bob is feeling 87%. Yes, that was my take on it. Bridget is here. Hi, Bridget. If the wrong garbage is in the trash can, they don't empty it. Oh, that's a good method. That's very efficient. Key Park says, someday I threw 2 old suitcases out at the junk spot and then they were taken away by someone in a minute. Yes, that happens here too. If you have something that someone else might find useful, but you think it's junk, we sometimes will put it at the end of our driveway on a non-garbage day with a note that says free, and someone will eventually come and get it. So that's pretty cool. Wrong button. From Lisa Liza. Hey, Bob, how important do you think pronunciation is for speaking? I really appreciate your help. It's important in the sense that the other person needs to understand what you're saying. So it's important to reduce your accent and to improve your pronunciation so that you can be understood. So it is very important to work on those two things. From a good junkie, hey Bob, here's to another live lesson. Question, can you think of one or two treasured items that you value and love, but others might consider junk? So I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I do have, I'm not sure if you can see it, beside Bobblehead Bob, there's a little toy tractor. You want me to grab it for a sec? So this is a toy tractor I had as a child. And you can see it has like a Lego steering wheel, and looks like the muffler has fallen off and the paint is quite scuffed and there's lint and spider webs on it. But some people might consider this junk. But for me, it has what we call sentimental value. It's a toy I had when I was 7 or 8 years old. And so I really, really still like it. So that was the that I value and love, but might be considered junk by others. Okay. From the chat, Freddie Wolf says, in France, if you won't get any junk paper, you can put at your mailbox the sign "Stop Publicité," so it's forbidden to put any in it. That's handy. You can do that in Canada, but they don't always actually listen. Okay, I'm going back to normal chat mode. I'm going to have a sip of water and we're going to finish off the lesson. If you're one of the 229 people watching, don't forget to click the subscribe button and maybe click the join button and consider becoming a member. Those are questions. What do we got here? Waste management. The process of collecting, handling, and disposing of waste. So this is the general term for all of the people that work in the area of recycling, composting, picking up trash, picking up garbage. It's called waste management. If I said to my cousin, what do you do for a living? What's your job? He might say, oh, I work in waste management. I drive a garbage truck on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and I work at the landfill the other days of the week. So waste management, the general term for the whole industry, the whole, all of the workers and all of the equipment that's used to manage garbage and recycling and compost, waste management. Dump, a place where waste is left or buried. Landfill, a place where garbage is buried under the ground. There's probably a slight difference between these two places. In Canada, we often refer to it as the dump or the landfill. The dump is actually now a place where you can bring anything and there are different places to put it. In fact, I did actually do a video at the dump. I should find that at some point. If you search for Bob the Canadian, Let's Learn English at the Dump, you'll find it. But when I go to the dump, I can bring an old air conditioner. I can bring garbage. I can bring recycling, and there's a place for all of it. The landfill, though, is the place where the things that can't be recycled go. So it's a place where garbage is buried underground. We've decided we can't do anything with it. We're just going to bury it. So that's the difference for me between dump and landfill. Recycling center. Okay, this is a long definition. A place where recyclable materials like paper, plastic, glass, and metal are collected, sorted, and processed so they can be made into new products. In Canada, we have a pretty extensive recycling program. I'm not sure everything gets recycled, but we separate our recycling into plastic, paper, metal, and then there's also compost now, which is food scraps and other organic material. But yes, a recycling center is a place where they will sort this, a place where recyclable materials like paper, plastic, glass, and metal are collected, sorted, and processed so they can be made into new products. I think we should do more of this, by the way. Composting facility, a place where organic waste like food scraps and yard waste is collected and broken down naturally into nutrient-rich compost that can be used to improve soil. So we do have compost pickup. So we can put things in a compost bin and it will get picked up and it will get composted. The reason you see all the different long rows is that is different stages of the process of things getting composted. Garbage can, trash can, rubbish bin, a container used to hold waste before it is thrown away. So again, depending on where you are speaking English, which country you are in, you'll want to find out what the local people say. Here we often use garbage can. You know, if I have something that I want to throw out, I throw it in the garbage can. We might say trash can. We don't say rubbish bin in Canada, but if you're in the UK, you might say rubbish bin. So garbage can, trash can, rubbish bin, a container used to hold waste before it is thrown away. Recycling bin, a container used for items that can be processed and reused. So we often have these in public places where you can recycle paper, plastic, or cans. Sometimes people throw things in the wrong spot, which is a little bit annoying, I think, because then someone down the road has to sort everything. But yes, recycling bin, a container used for items that can be processed and reused. Compost bin, a container used for organic waste that can decompose into fertilizer. So we often now call it the green bin. In Canada, the blue bin is for paper and plastics and metal, and the green bin is for compost. So if you have, this person looks like they have some eggshells, is that broccoli or lettuce? Something like that. But definitely food scraps can go in the compost bin. And then here in my part of Canada, compost gets picked up and it gets composted. We, however, feed most of our food scraps to our chickens, but there are some things that chickens can't eat. Dumpster, a large outdoor container used to collect and store garbage. You will see these around buildings and public places because they are basically just large garbage cans. So again, a dumpster, a large outdoor container used to collect and store garbage. Behind our school, there are 3 dumpsters. One is for paper and cardboard, one is for actual garbage, and I think the other one is for one of the recycling types. But yes, dumpsters. And then what's nice is the garbage truck can pick, like you see the little slots on the side. The garbage truck has like a forklift on the front, and it can lift the whole dumpster up and dump it into the back. So dumpster, a large outdoor container used to collect and store garbage. Hey, that's the end of the formal lesson. Thanks for watching. I will do some questions yet. I think there are 7 questions left. I will have them on the screen in a moment. I just want to, sometimes I feel like I'm missing out on the chat. Sometimes there's a lot of chatting going on. Let's see here. Oh, people are actually talking about junk and garbage. Mo, did you know that the dump is called the tip in the UK? I bet you've never heard that of that. Eh? No, I didn't. I guess because you tip things. You tip out the garbage. Freddie, Bob, you should put your tractor to the garage in order to fix it and renew it a bit. Yeah, it needs a little bit. It needs a coat of paint. I had heard that there's a former student of mine. Oh, the seat is broken too, eh? That fixes toy tractors. So maybe I should ask him if he would do that. Oh, things are scrolling back. People are chatting and chatting and chatting. Nice lesson, by the way. Really useful, says Unabi. Thank you. Mode, I was not ready to watch Bob impersonate a forklift live. Yes, this is a forklift. That's how they work. I should have had a picture of that one. Let me get some questions on the screen here and finish things up. Andu, what is the place where ships are destroyed not to see other party? So I do know that they tear down ships in some places. I don't know what that place is called, but there are places where old cruise ships and old ships go, and they are slowly taken apart and recycled. Noman, please teach me online. So I don't do one-on-one lessons, but I appreciate the request. But I do make lots of videos, so hopefully those can help you. From Unabi, does zero waste culture become more popular in Canada in recent years? Thanks, Mr. Bob. So the minimalist approach to life is becoming more popular, owning less stuff, and directly resulting from that, if you own less stuff, you have less waste you have less waste. So that is helpful. But the zero waste approach is challenging because even though we're trying to, recycle all of our waste, a lot of people are still, they just don't care. So some Canadians do, some Canadians don't. John says, now after Bob's class, I'll go back to watching Jen's channel. I'm watching her. Very cool. English with teacher Fernanda says, I think this lesson is very useful to know vocabulary. Thanks, Bob. You're welcome. Okay. Let's see here. From Alex, hey teacher Bob, hope you're well. I have no questions today, but I want to say that I often find fairly good things on at the dump, like chairs and so on. Yes, sometimes people throw things out that they don't need to throw out. Azad says, how to learn English? Well, you're doing it right now. Watching these live English lessons is a good way to learn. Make sure you're doing some reading and writing and speaking as well. I would recommend that. Oh, Mino Smill. Yeah. Bob, I think you should point out that the word junk can be a slang term that isn't very polite. However, you don't need to explain it further. Yes, there is another meaning of this word that I did not teach in the lesson because it's not safe for school or work. So I'm going to leave that up to you to figure out. Alexandria, which do you think I should focus on first? Speaking or listening? Thanks in advance, Bob. I advocate all four. And I usually add in learning some vocabulary and grammar. I usually recommend you do this. You should be doing a lot of reading and listening. That is one of the things you can do a lot of very easily, and it's cheap. It doesn't cost you anything. You should also be doing some writing and speaking, okay? But certainly reading and listening, I understand, are very easy to do, but don't forget to practice your output as well. And then learn some vocabulary. Like whenever you're doing the other four, learn vocabulary and then find a book in your own language that explains English grammar. That's what I would say. Let's see. So from ESB, loves your vintage toy. Is digital clutter like old files and emails a form of junk too? Yes. What are your personal tips for a much cleaner and more organized digital environment? Buy a new computer every 4 years and then only move the stuff to the new computer that you need. I am failing at that. I might this summer replace my computer. It just keeps working. So I'm not sure how to answer this one. Oh, and hi, Bob. What are differences between mouth posture and mouth position? Thanks very much. Yeah, it might have to do with how you're forming the sounds, but I'll be honest, I don't know the answer to this one. Brent says, gotta go. Classes are changing. Thanks for teaching my class. No problem. I hope they enjoyed it. I hope they learn to recycle more and keep your classroom neat and tidy. Anyways, that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching this lesson about junk. I do want to remind you that this lesson will come out in a shorter version in a couple of days. You can listen to it one more time. You can watch it one more time. You can watch the parts that you didn't understand. Hafia says, send the check to Bob's mail. Yeah. No worries, Brett. It's on me. It's important to have repetition when you're learning a language. So even though it's boring to watch a lesson 2 or 3 times, it is helpful and it will help you remember things. I try to make it as easy as possible. I remove all of the viewer questions. So it will be a pure lesson of, I think, 28 or so vocabulary words and phrases, and just listen to it again or watch it again. You can do it while you're making supper, on the train, driving in your car. It is on YouTube as well as on Spotify and on Bilibili, by the way, in China. So you can watch it there as well. But yes, again, that's it for today. And that's it for this weekend. I will have a new lesson for Tuesday. But other than that, I'm just going to say bye and wish you all a good Friday and a very, very good weekend. In the chat, a lot of people saying bye already. Bye to Burgit, Pedro, Zenzang, Key Park, Cursos. Dan has just become a member. Hi, Dan. Thanks for becoming a member. Bye to Freddie and the rest of you. English with teacher Fernanda, Jackal, Sophia, Unabi, Aerosmith, 77, Uliana, Kate Zoo. I'm scrolling back. John says, tell Jen that I'll soon reach video number 100 on her channel, just like I did on your channel 4 years ago. Very cool. Thanks for doing that. Bye to Wanda, Mode, Key Park, Hafiez, and everyone else. You guys are awesome. Bye, Ralph. I think I said bye to Freddie, but I'll say it again. Bye to Gaeta, Helena as well.